Hello and welcome back. Covering a USDA trial, middle of July. I was only able to attend a single day of this trial, but a trial in Monterey, California. And just real quickly before we get started looking at the runs from this trial, quick catch up on kind of where we are in our training and competition. So actually this trial is like right at the tail end of a long period of travel for me. So in fact, for like the 4 weeks prior to this trial, Snips and I really hadn't done very much training at all. And even though I had resolved to retrain from running contacts to stop contacts, I hadn't gotten very far in that training. And so in this trial, you'll see I'm still kind of attempting the running contact because I don't want to pull out the stop contact yet because it isn't solid enough. The other thing that we obviously have been focused on from previous trials is weave pole entries, and those have been getting much better by basically stopping running when she misses that entry. I've seen a really marked improvement in her desire and her ability to fight for weave pole entries. So I'm very optimistic about that. At any rate, doing 4 runs in this trial, and actually prior to this I didn't have any videos for it, so I didn't cover it, but I did a trial a couple of weeks prior to this where I did 4 runs as well, and got a cue in gamblers and snookers in that case. And so this weekend, doing gambler, snooker, standard, and jumpers. And we'll cover gamblers first, and you can get a quick look here at the course, and really, not too bad. There's a little bit in the closing which I'll talk about, but this is basically what I'm planning in the opening, kind of doing a lead out pivot there at that second jump over the teeter, and then I'm going to test her early on here on the weave poles and see what happens. One of the things you'll notice when you see the video is that it was raining, which is very unusual for Northern California in the summertime, and you get to see that really dramatically as she goes through the chute in the video with water flying off of it, and then basically up to the A-frame, and I'll be able to vamp at the A-frame depending on time. And the one real challenge here that I'm looking at is when you look at 1 to 2 to 3 on the gamble, there's a slight right turn into the tunnel, maybe a little more pronounced than it looks on this map. And so I'm going to get a chance to test that out command that I've been working on with her to get her to kind of go out and sort of kick out. And so I'm going to see how that goes. So we'll take a quick look here at the run. You can hear it raining there in the background. So all solid up to that point, but really nothing challenging. And then she does just blow through the weave pole entry there. And of course, mind you, like I said, we really haven't been traveling, but I kind of give her a quick reminder there that the fun stops if she doesn't fight for her weave pole entries, and she gets them really solidly the next time through. Here you can see the water come flying off the chute. Really dramatic there. Time goes much quicker than I expected, but you can see right here she responds really nicely to that out command, turns right into the tunnel, and the gamble is no problem at all. So, really easy cue there, really solid run for her, really great way to start the weekend. So we move on from there to advanced standard, and if you've been following along any of the videos to this point, you know that standard is really right now the one thing that I don't really think that I have a good chance of qualifying in, because with the dog walk and her trouble with the running contacts that she's never quite gotten the criteria, I'm more than likely to miss that and not be able to qualify. But I should be able to get a good run nonetheless. And so, we'll go in focusing more on sort of everything but the dog walk contact. So in the early part, I decided to throw in a front cross to the weave poles. That'll make that entry a little bit challenging, but I really do think she's up for it. She has gotten much better on her weave pole entries since our last trials. And then here, nothing really terribly challenging except maybe this run through the middle, right? 12 to 13. She's got to pass up a couple of jumps to go to the teeter. And then the one thing that I am going to do here is really try to get ahead of her and get stopped at the end of the dog walk to try and aid her hitting that contact. The real challenge here in the close is because I'm kind of, going to be standing at the end of the dog walk and I can't kind of run through it. I would prefer kind of to get up ahead of her and show her that right turn or that left turn to the final jump rather than doing a rear cross. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get that far up ahead of her. And so as I walk it, I plan to do a rear cross. And I emphasize the word plan, and you'll see why later. But so the first part goes pretty well. I will say she doesn't actually hit the weave pole entry, but you can see right there she slips and kind of. So I don't really make her, do that downstay with her there because I think she was fighting for it, and it was in fighting for it that she slipped. So we keep going. She hits it perfectly the second time. Again, great running contact on the A-frame. She goes a little long there, probably because I didn't show enough decel at the table, but still gets back. And then this run through the gap, no problem at all. I think I do a good job here. Little hesitation there to make sure she takes that jump. And then I slip on the wet grass there, but not really much of a problem. She goes a little long there. I show decel there, but not enough stopping. And then, to be honest with you, I just completely forget the rear cross there and do that, and I get what I should get there, which is not really an optimal line through there. But even so, despite the missing on the dog walk, which prevents us from getting a cue, I'm still pretty happy with that run. So next up is Snooker, and I will confess Snooker has really become one of my favorite agility games, partly because in a lot of cases, Snips gets to really do some serious running and turn on the afterburners, but also because it's a chance where sometimes I have to think on my feet, and I think that that's really good practice for me, and this is no exception. So, we start with this really long run, then up this line of sevens, over that jump at the top, back down the line of sevens, then another fairly long run to the third red jump, back from there and up the line of sevens again. So really a really good chance for her to turn on the afterburners. And I'm kind of suspecting that she may not keep all the bars up given the speed at which she's going, but even so, it should be really fun. And then the real kind of challenge here in this closing is on this 3 to 4. Ideally, I would like to SERP that because I think that will get me a tight jump on number 4 and a really easy redirect into the tunnel. It'll also keep her from going wide over 3 and kind of locking onto that tunnel. But I don't know if I can get into position, so I'm also prepared to do a 360 post turn depending on what's going on, and then kind of finishing up again down this line of jumps. Kind of a tight angle, a lot of slicing in there. So, there could be some challenges, but, I think she's definitely up for it. So here's the run, and you can tell it's stopped raining by this point in the day, so that challenge is gone. Good chance here to test our start line stay, and you can see she does a really admirable job of keeping her start line stay, and then a really good chance to just turn on the afterburners. And it all starts nice. First 2 of those sequences really good. And then I perhaps show too much decel there, and she pulls off of that jump. So now I'm thinking on my feet. And she ticks that bar and takes it down, and then passes up that jump. It's kind of a weird angle there, and so now I have to kind of come back and get myself on line. And at this point, I basically have no chance of hitting that SERP. And you can see she goes long there as a result. But I get her back, get her over, and the rest of it is no problem. She hits this slice line of jumps with no problem, even though one of them is down. So, good fast run. Didn't pick up 7 points in the opening, but still plenty of points to get a cue. Our second cue, so we're close to moving up in Snooker, same as we are in Gamblers. And so we closed the weekend or the trial on advanced jumpers. And in the trial I'd done previously, jumpers is something that she does very effectively. Her biggest problem is going too fast and dropping bars. And so I'm expecting to be able to get through the course, but keeping all the bars up is really the question. Now this course actually is a lot of front crosses. And so as I'm walking it, I'm not only finding them, but I'm thinking that I really want to focus on making sure that I'm really in good positional cue. And definitely this is one of these courses where the judge had a little bit of fun and basically put all of the handling maneuvers, or most of the handling maneuvers, around this one jump in the center of the course there. So in the beginning, right, there's a fairly straight shot up there, and I'm going to lead out to decel position and then do a front cross to get her into the tunnel. And then out of the tunnel, she comes over that jump and another front cross at the same jump to take her around this loop. And then yet a third front cross at that same jump to get her to turn that way and go into the tunnel. Then coming out of the tunnel, over that jump and a front cross to get on that outside loop. And then finally, there's a bit of a variable in my thinking here. Like, I'm not sure if I can get ahead enough to get a front cross in before number 17 there. That's what I'd like to do. But I'm kind of planning to do a rear cross. But if I happen to be up ahead enough, I'll go ahead and throw in the front cross. All right, so as we go through this run, what I'm going to do is slow down and look at each front cross in turn. And we're going to be looking really for a few things. The first one is, am I in decel position correctly? Am I actually either showing decel really strongly or stopped? And what is the timing like on the turn for my front cross? So the first one, obviously being stopped and being in position is easy since it's a lead out front cross. So what we'll really focus here is whether or not I begin my front cross on takeoff. So here we go. We'll slow it way down here, and you can see right about there she's taking off, and you can see my back legs start to move into the front cross. And so I would say that that's extremely good on both of our parts, and results in a pretty good front cross. Maybe not as tight as it should be, but still pretty good. The same cannot be said about this front cross. You can see as she's coming out of the tunnel, I'm already way too far behind for if I'm going to get into positional cue and show decel on that front cross. So what you'll see here is, I'm accelerating as she's taking off, not showing any decel. I mean, the timing on the front cross is okay, but because I'm showing so much acceleration, it's much harder. And I think she does a nice job, but I don't. And I don't think that I can feel too good about this one either. I'm kind of babysitting this jump too much here, and then suddenly I start to accelerate because I realize I'm not in position. Right there, you can see me start to accelerate, but all that tells her is to accelerate. She's landing as I start my front cross, so you can see she kind of falls shoulder first into the ground because suddenly she's got to turn, and so I don't think a very good job by me there. And so on this last one, I managed to redeem myself a little bit. So you can see there I'm doing a much better job of running towards where I want to be, which is at the stanchion of that blue jump. Maybe I don't get as close to it as I should, but you can see I'm already showing her decel before her commitment. Maybe I start my turn a little bit early, but I think, it's one of these things where it's very clear to her, what's going on, that we're making that turn to that jump. Now she takes the bar down, trying to do a tight turn there. I actually end up turning that one into a front cross, and then she just kind of takes that jump down. I don't really know why, but so no cue there because we left 2 bars in the ground, but a really respectable yards per second. So anyway, the next trial is an AKC trial, and really between then and now, I'm going to continue to work on our teamwork and our coursework. But the main focus, I'm hoping to be able to have stopped contacts of some form by the time I get to the next trial so that I can begin trying to qualify in standard more often than I have to date. And hopefully I will see you then when I post that next video. Thanks. Bye.